Welcome back, strange crew. You are tuned into another trip through life's deep cuts. We hope you enjoy the ride.
Keep it strange.
In 3, 2, 1, we're rolling.
Welcome back, Strange Crew, for another episode of the Strange Crews podcast.
We're so excited.
We're so excited to have Kelsi Mayne join us for this episode. Hi, Kelsi.
Hello.
Where are you?
We were actually excited and we almost blinded each other. Wow. Okay.
And that's looking at my eye falling out of my head.
Goes wrong. Isn't that right?
Yes, it's so true. So
maybe you need to wear those for safety.
I know, nice safety goggles.
Kate gets excited. Yes.
Yes. So, Kelsi, where do we find you today? You said you're traveling between two cities. Where are you? Where on the earth are you?
I'm in just outside of Toronto right now. So I got a show tonight. I'm doing a singer-songwriter round. I'm hosting with a couple friends, and then I got to be in Strathroy over the weekend. So yeah, nice. Ontario.
So I guess to start things off, for people that have not, are not familiar with you or your work, tell us a little bit about yourself and sort of the type of music you play and sort of, who are you?
Yeah, that is a loaded question. I'm still trying to describe that too. So I'm from Windsor, Ontario originally. And so I grew up with a lot of like Detroit radio and influences because that was like the strongest signals. Like we get everything like from news to radio to television was all from Detroit. So I have a lot of American influence, and I think because of that I just gravitated towards country, but I also grew up with a lot of like Motown and hip hop, R&B, like rap and stuff, obviously from Detroit. So I have like a mixture of a bunch of styles, and I have a super raspy voice. So I love to sing rock as well. So I just kind of like combine as many influences as I can. But I feel like as a songwriter, I love telling stories, and I've had a lot to tell over the last couple of years. I've had a lot happen in my life. So right now I'm just kind of getting all that out, and it's kind of like my therapy, and being on stage has been like what I feel like I was born to do. And I grew up Highland dancing actually. So that's how I fell in love with the stage originally, and I never left. So that's about me in a nutshell, I guess.
That's super interesting. Like I hear that a lot from people that grew up in the Windsor area, like that connection to Detroit, and like you can't really overstate it, right? And it's so fascinating how Detroit even played a role like throughout Canadian music history. Like there was this one radio station, I forget what it was called off the top of my head, but it was like because it was on. Yeah. Yeah. And if you were, even back in the 70s, if your song got played like on that station, you were going to make it as a Canadian artist because it was close geographically. You would make it big in the States. Right. And
the radio programmer for that, her name is Rosalie Tremblay, and she was inducted into the broadcasting or the radio Hall of Fame in like, I think it's like in the world or like at least like North America. But she was dubbed as the woman with the golden ear. And so she was the program director, and she basically anything that she played on that station was responsible to break those careers of those artists. So Marvin Gaye, Bob Seger, Kiss, like all of these major artists, like Paul McCartney, like she has pictures with like Elton John and like all these massive artists. And I know this because my mom is a sculptor, and so she actually did a sculpture of Rosalie and got to interview her family through this whole process. And then they unveiled it, I think like 2 years ago. So that's at the riverfront in Windsor right now.
Oh, that's awesome. It's good to have like those people who made such a big impact, to the music community and really just bridging influences together and get some of that recognition. I know we did an interview with Michael, who is a former VJ on Much Music way back in the day. And he'd mentioned, living in those areas and how important it was, and the clubs and stuff that would play some of the live music of the people that were being played on the radio, and just how, vital that was. So it's great to hear that, like she's been getting that recognition. And to be the golden era, I think that you don't see it as much now. And I think, given what you've mentioned too about, how you've, been dancing and how you found your love for the stage, I think it has to be authentic too. And now with, so much things on the internet and people trying to make it any way they possibly can, even saying something they may not agree with, it could be a soundbite and they go viral for it. But I think, when you genuinely care about music and like where it comes from and the influences, and you just try to, lean into it, I think that that's why your stage presence and your music comes off so genuine, and just, it is quite rock and roll. It's raw as fuck. I love it.
Well, yeah. Like I was listening to it the other day. Like, I know, like, you're often categorized like in like the country genre, but like I think it's more genre bending than that. Like it's singer-songwriter, it's rock and roll. And
thank you so much. I think like I never like to do the same thing twice either. So I do have like a super rock song which is called All or Nothing, and like country radio wouldn't play it because they were like, this is too rock. But like but I have like other like 90s country songs that I haven't released yet, but that's coming down the line. But but I do that in my live show. So I love to kind of like pull out songs that are the unexpected, and just really push the boundaries as much as I can, because I feel like the element of surprise is just like, it's very underutilized, and I love to just kind of like keep people on their toes and keep people guessing. So
I think a lot of, artists, like whether Canadian or not, like if you look at folks like Neil Young, a lot of people like him, people were quite vocal about some of his albums, right? A lot of people are very vocal if you don't stick to the niche that they knew you from. But I think it makes you a lot more of an artist to be able to do different things. And if I like you because you're rad right now and what you're making, then why not have other elements of things, other formats of something? I think it would just make me love you more as an artist versus just churning out the same stuff all the time. And I think that's why we have not as many, but that's why we still have some prolific artists, and we have people actually caring about the audience experience and how they choreograph and how they put out music and the connections they have, and I think that that's why it's so important, to stay connected to the community and the drivers and the people that are creating those opportunities too.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you can ask anyone on the street, and like you can ask them who their favorite artists are, and they could have, it's like, I have like, for me it's like Eric Church, Aretha Franklin, and Eminem, and like I feel like that's really common with most people, is having a wide variety of like different kinds of artists that they love. And so if I can just include a few of those elements in all of my songs, or like have them in like different songs of mine, I feel like I'm kind of like covering all my bases. But like that's not what I'm trying to do. I just want to just like do whatever I feel like that day. And a lot of the times what depends on like the mood that I'm in when I'm going into a write, like my song for Can't Sleep, like I was in a really low place in my life when I wrote it, but I went into the write that day to like, I was like, let's do an up-tempo song because I wanted to, feel happy again. And my co-writers were like, how are you feeling? Like they recognized, they're like something's off here. And then so I told them what was going on, and then they looked at each other and they're like, okay, we're gonna get a good song today, kind of thing. so I mean, and then that's just what came out naturally that day. And I feel like it's just kind of like chasing whatever I'm feeling that day is what I'm gonna do. And if I connect with it, then I feel like the audience will feel that and connect with it too.
I have to agree with you on that. And I think it's, maybe back in the day, it was probably even, doing marketing and things like that. It was a lot easier to just be like, carve out a niche and just churn more of that out and allow someone else to be that other artist. But now people do want more. They don't want to just hear the hits when you feel good. They want to hear what you're going through. They want to be able to resonate when they're not feeling good. They want to resonate when they go through grief. They don't. And if you're just churning out pop hits or country hits that don't resonate with them, then they go to another artist for that. Right. And not everybody liked Kiss Unplugged. Not everybody liked Pink Cadillac by Neil Young. But the people who love those artists, they grew with them, and maybe they choose not to like some of the music, but I think it showcases their prolificness as artists.
Yeah. And I think to that point too, it's like what regardless of the genre, or if it's a top hit or a TikTok hit or whatever, I think it comes down to just, is it real? Right. And I think if the music is, in the songwriting, however it is genuine and it comes from the heart, it's going to connect, right? Because it touches on, I talk about this all the time with like Bob Dylan, it's like universal experiences, right? That anyone can, and that's how it translates. And with your last couple singles, like, this is a great segue. I was walking here, listening to them again on the way here, and I'm like, damn, like, it's like Can't Sleep. Like, that was like, I felt that, you know what I mean? And like, I think what you're touching on, like an experience, whether or not someone experienced that situation for word for word exactly, but I think everyone has had that feeling of heartbreak, you know what I mean, and longing. And so kind of my question for you next is sort of, tell us a little bit, how much of your songwriting is from personal experience, or is it a bit of both, or do you get stuff from others? Like, tell us a little bit about your process.
Can't Sleep is literally a page from my diary. Like, that song was like word vomit on like everything that I was going through that day. And I usually songs will have like some sort of exaggeration to it. Like it might not be like entirely accurate, just to make it rhyme or to make it fit.
Yeah.
But that one was entirely 100% true. And like, the second verse, it goes like, were you lying through your teeth, or was it just the whiskey talking to me, and then or talking for you, God, I adored you. And it was like, that line was like, so at that point, that was when I was, so long story short, with my background, I in 2024, I was in a 10-year relationship, engaged, got a message from another woman after I released our wedding song. And she was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know you existed. But there's some things you need to know about your fiance. And then, so once she told me, I was like, okay, well, all bets are off. I'm moving out. So I moved out like that the next day. And then called off the wedding, and then like tried to like kind of like just take a break and like heal. And everyone was like, you should, you need a year off and just like kind of find yourself again, and don't even think about dating. And I wasn't. But then someone came into my life, and then they were very persistent, and they were coming from a similar situation. So he was like, it's meant to be. We're meant to find each other at this time. And I've heard of other stories of like, people being in long-term relationships and then finding someone like immediately after, and then it works, and then they get married and stuff. And so he kind of like convinced me that was the case. And then I fell really hard for him. And then I discovered that he was an alcoholic. So like that line, that song, or was it just the whiskey talking for you? That was very, very true. So unfortunately, and then he ended up, after I fell for him and like did everything that I possibly could do to help that man, ended up getting sober, but then he ended up not choosing me in his life anymore after that. So I was like, okay, well, I'm done for a while, I guess. But I was so when I wrote that song, I was like exhausted, because I was like, I showed this man every bit of me, every ounce of who I was as a person, and he still didn't choose me. And so I shouldn't even have had to deal with that in the first place. Like, I didn't even want it to begin with. So that was a very low point in my life, and don't know how you get there sometimes, but you realize after everything happens for a reason, and I think he's in a good place and I'm in a good place. So yeah, I think it's all for the better.
Doesn't make the journey any less difficult, especially when you have to, replay the song or perform it or think about, where you came from to where you are now. It doesn't, it's still grief in itself, right? And healing, right? So
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that, very candidly with us. But you're right. Like, and I think it makes people resonate even more because they're all coming with their own personal experiences. And a lot of people are very isolated now. Post COVID, like a lot of people, even though everything opened back up, we become a lot more isolated, and technology is not necessarily there to help bridge it together. So when we hear real experiences like this, I know like it's important that it's actually out there and people talk in a real way. Otherwise, people feel even more isolated, and it can drastically affect people's mental health and them being here, So I think it's so important to talk about real life and to storytell as artists and, as people, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and on the flip side of the coin, second song on the walk here was On the Record that I listened to. And it's almost like though I think On the Record came out like I was
for the record. Yeah.
For the record. Yes, for the record. On the record. It's a former journalist in me. On the record. But for the record, that was released at least before Can't Sleep. But it almost seemed like it was sort of like Can't Sleep was like in the thick of it. And then For the Record was like you're coming out on the other side. You know what I mean? Almost like you're kind of new phase of the thing.
If we had like that like game show, you just won the jackpot there. So you're entirely, that is entirely true. That Can't Sleep, I wrote that one first in the thick of it, and For the Record was after it. And and that song was also very authentic, very true, because it's like, at least the one good thing that I got from that was it was really good for the record and for all the songs that I got from it. So that was kind of like the little twist of the knife there. I wanted to kind of it's kind of not revenge, but it's like, what's the word, where it's like you're, at least it's like something that you're getting back from it,
Yeah, like it wasn't all for nothing, you know what I mean? Yeah, I remember my friend, he was a musician, Ken Tobias, that passed. One of his big songs in the 70s was Every Bit of Love, and it was written for his wife at the time. And anyway, the marriage didn't work out, and it was like not a great ending, it wasn't a great situation. But I remember his brother he said, my brother was like, well, at least you got a hit song out of it, that, and he got royalties for decades after.
And should he have loved anyone else, Every Bit of Love Part 2, it just evolves.
And it became a wedding song for so many people, and he's just like, that's great. But
that's kind of beautiful too, because at least like your experience is serving to live on in other people's lives in a significant way. Like, I feel like being a part of someone's it's supposed to be the most important day of your life. And being a little part of that, I feel like is such an honor. So, I mean, it makes it a little bit more, a little bittersweet, but it sweetens it more than the bitter, I think.
Yeah, especially the royalty checks, I think, on his case.
That's true.
That helps.
Like the experience when you love something or somebody or a place, or when you lose somebody or something or a place, these times are also ways for us to be able to prepare ourselves for new layers of potential joy and grief as we age, right? Or we potentially lose friends or family or parents, right? And I think heartbreak, it evolves, and it's important to hear it still ingrained in music and in storytelling and in writing. And I'd say she has the golden pen, because she's always looking at lyrics, she's writing, she's a writer by trade. So I'd say you get the golden pen for sure. That's just me.
Oh, thanks. I can't write I love you too. I can't write songs for shit, but I can write a lot of other stuff. But that's always been something for me. Like when it comes to like in all of our guests, like I always talk about the songwriting and the words. Not that I don't relate to or like have music that's completely instrumental that resonates, but for me, that's sort of where my mind goes, right? Because that's where how I connect. Yet it's really cool to see people that are like, crazy guitar players, you know what I mean? Or pianist.
Right.
And that's what they listen to, right? Or they listen to the beat and stuff like that. So it's, I always just paid attention to the words.
Lyrics are, well, that's like the main thing in country music. Like a lot of pop music doesn't really fully make sense, and it's okay because it just sounds really cool, and it just works because the sound of it and how it all comes together just works. But for country music, I think it's so important to have lyrics that are witty and make sense, and that aren't too complicated. Still, it's very conversational. Like you can't be too in depth with or abstract with things. Like it's just like, this is how I feel. This is how I would say it in real life, and then I'm gonna put that in a song. And I feel like with everything that I went through the past 2 years, that's what's really elevated my songwriting, because now I actually know what I'm talking about. And like you said, like before, you're like, everyone's experienced heartbreak, and before that I actually hadn't. And so I was writing about it, but I feel like I didn't really I had no idea. Like I did not know. Now I know, but I can say that back then I had no clue. And I feel like that shows now.
Well, it's interesting too, because probably coming from like out of that experience and writing it from having experienced it, you probably like, do you look back on like other famous, heartbreak songs or songs in the past and you're like, oh, okay, I know where they were coming from now. Like you kind of changes the way you view it in a way.
So one example of that is I was moving out. So I had to pack up my whole life of 10 years in a day, and as much as I could, and between my car and my sister's. And actually this was like probably in like 4 hours. So I was like super overwhelmed. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I choose what to pick and what to keep? And then like I can't fit everything. And my sister said, like, if it doesn't bring you joy, don't bring it. And then that made everything so much easier. It was like, joy, yes, no, okay, that's coming, that's staying. And like it was so easy to do after that. And then when I was driving away with my car full of stuff, on the radio, randomly it came on. It was Destiny's Child, I'm a Survivor.
Yes.
And it was like, I'm a survivor, I'm gonna make it, I'm not gonna stop, I'm gonna work harder. And then I was like, fuck yeah. Like I'm like, that's me right now. And I'm like, I get it. And like, and now I got you out of my life, I'm so much better, thought that I'd be weak without you, but I'm stronger. And I was like, oh yeah, baby, like that, I feel this now.
You're like, Beyonce, I get it.
Yeah. They were ahead of their time, man.
Really, I wish they'd come back. Anyway.
Well, I think you like, and having you mention, I was writing about it, but I hadn't necessarily gone through it. I think, we've all maybe listened to songs, but maybe didn't feel the sentiment behind them. And I know like growing up, like a lot, my dad was the big person for me about music. And he'd always try to tell me like, don't corner yourself into genres of music, right? Like don't say you don't like something just because you don't like an artist, because that genre could still be very open to things. So my dad was very into like 70s rock and roll, but he loved country. He loved Johnny Cash. He loved Travis Tritt. Like I can't listen to any more, can't do it because it's too heartbreaking, right? And to see, the music video, there are things that people did back in the time, how they wrote music. It was just different. And now with how you see, songwriting and AI music, God forbid, like it's so nice and still refreshing to see artists who really care about their audiences and about, trying to go through things to also bring some of that to the forefront, right?
Well, I have a song called Someone Who Knows, and that was a song that I felt like I needed to write because I felt like the world needed a reminder of uh, how to be in a relationship. And I
Yeah.
felt like, I'm like, I need to write this song because I don't know if it exists anywhere else already. And basically, I wanted to write a song that if he heard it before, if someone else wrote it before, and if he had heard it, I wonder if he would have stopped and thought more about the consequences and what he was doing. Um, and my goal with it was just to try to prevent somebody else from going through that, and like hopefully it reaching somebody at the right time and hitting them at a moment where they're like, oh yeah, she's right, and like I need to, if I'm gonna make a promise, I better keep it. If like all of these things, these words to live by, that you're taught, but I feel like they get forgotten along the way. So, yeah, that's what I wish it existed before, and I wish I didn't have to write it, but I feel like I needed to do that for somebody else. So,
That's your story to tell, right? Like
yeah.
that was, no one else could do it but you,
It's
right?
true.
In that way, right?
Yeah.
So though it sucks, but it's a beautiful piece of art, right?
Thank
So
you. Thanks. But I mean,
So-
not all my songs are sad either. Like I have some really fun
you do.
up tempo ones too, and I'm super excited about those ones because, and especially the ones coming down the line as well. And I feel like just going through it all has like even made my party drinking songs better, and like everything else. I just feel like I'm like coming from just a deeper place in general.
No, that's so, it's so true. It kind of impacts. It
I'm
just,
just like, come party with us.
yeah, come to the Maritimes. Um,
Love
so,
to.
so speaking of things coming down the pipe, what are you working on right now? What are you in the midst of? What do people need to keep an eye out for? This is basically, tell us what's going on.
I got lots, man. I have so many songs. I'm just like finding out what I want to do with them. So, like I'm just sitting on them. But I have my next single is coming out on May 15th, and that one is also kind of a FU song. And it's called Time Machine. And you're the first I'm actually telling anybody about this. But
Exclusive.
I actually got to premiere it. So I've only played it acoustic live. I've never played it full out, but I played it for Cavendish Beach Music Festival when they had a songwriter round that they put me in, and it was with Jason Benoit, Griffin Palmer, who won Songland and is like signed to I think Big Loud, and Caroline Jones, who plays with Zach Brown Band, and me. And so and I had to play last and be like the anchor of everyone. So this like all-star lineup. And I played this song and people lost their shit. They were just like they couldn't believe. They were like, "Oh yeah!" So yeah, I'm really proud of the lyrics for it. I wrote it with two other Canadians, Andrew Peoples and David Boris. So it's 100% Canadian, and I got Ryan Stewart to produce it in Vancouver. So and he's worked with Carly Rae Jepsen and Simple Plan and Owl City and stuff like that. So I'm really happy that this song all came together with a bunch of Canadians. But yeah, and so that's the next single coming down, and then I have an album coming out at the end of June, and then I got more songs coming after that. So it's just like nonstop and a bunch of festivals and shows all throughout the summer, and that's all I can say at the moment. I'm holding back. I just caught myself.
Well,
'cause
we'll
I had
be
some other
putting
stuff.
out the updates as you release them, and we'll be making sure everybody knows, and we will be absolutely connecting with you to try to make a show happen here, because we know, like, especially you haven't been at Cavendish before, like your name, people know you, so it would be great for them to actually be able to see you, especially with this new single, the new album coming out. Like you said, if not this year, at least in the start of next. We'd love to have you here.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I love the East Coast.
Come hang
We're
out.
about, they say West Coast, the best coast, but I mean, East Coast, I don't know. There's something about us.
Yeah.
We're cooler. So before we wrap up, we have to give you I have to ask my famous question, Strange Solitary Sounds, it's called.
Okay.
So if you're locked in a room, we don't know how you got there, doesn't matter. And you only have 3 records with you. What are those 3 records and why?
I'm gonna say Eric Church Chief, because that song or that album, that was the first concert that I ever went to of Eric Church, and I didn't really know too much of his stuff before that concert. And then after that show, I was like obsessed, and I learned like every single one of those songs and played it on repeat. So I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say, man, I think like probably, okay, I'm gonna go with Justin Timberlake 2020 Experience, because why not?
The
And
first
I'm
time
gonna,
JT.
what?
That's the first time we've had JT in this
It's a
segment.
great choice.
I love it.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say Michael Jackson Bad.
Nice. Those are great choices.
Solid.
I'll come hang out and party with you anytime. That sounds like a party.
I love it. I love that mix.
Yeah,
Amazing.
me too. Genuinely.
I
I won't throw my glasses at you this time.
know. Yeah, that was
Hands in the vehicle.
just next episode of an eye patch. Thank you so much, Kelsi, for taking the time to hang out with us. It was so great to connect, and yeah, we'll hit. You got to keep us posted when you're coming out this way. We're going to make it happen. And if anyone listening wants to connect with you and follow you, where can they find you?
I'm on all the things like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Spotify, Apple, all those things. You can give me a follow there too. At Kelsi Mayne is on everything. So KelsiMayne. That's it.
Strange Crew, if you were listening to this and maybe not watching the video episode, you can head over to our website, go under this brand new episode, and you'll be able to see the full blog that has all of the follow information, all the playlist, everything like that, to make sure that you go stream all Kelsi's tunes.
Amazing. Well, thank you again, Kelsi. And thank you for everyone for watching and listening. And until next time, keep it strange. Bye.
Bye.
If you've enjoyed this, then you have to hit strangegrooves.com for more amazing content. To support this podcast and music community, go to patreon.com/strangegrooves. As always, keep it strange.